Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to get here?
So I'm a polyglot programmer, writer, trainer, and coach. And I came here because 10 years ago I got involved. I met Corey Haynes and we started doing code retreats after we met him, and then got involved in many communities. So people started noticing me and inviting me to events. So I guess that's how I got here.
Your talk is about raising the bar. Do you think we can do that within the current agile and software craftsmanship framework, or do you think we need to extend our inquiry further?
I think that we can raise the bar within the current framework of agile and software craftsmanship if we extend a bit the concept of community. Right now, our software craftsmanship communities are mainly oriented towards practicing the practices that we already know. And so what I'm looking for is more specialized work groups that can work on advancing the field rather than just practicing the same things again. Not that those practices are bad, it's a really good thing, but I think we can do more.
Your talk mentions getting inspiration from other domains. I mean, for example, machine learning has made great advances from its understanding of neural pathways within biological systems. Are there any other cross-discipline areas that you find interesting?
I've been studying a lot in the past years because I'm an avid reader of everything outside software development as well. And I've been studying a lot about how design is done in other disciplines. I studied how math works, how physics works. So there are a lot of things where I think we can take some inspiration from, can actually apply in our work. And that's actually what my talk is about, is getting intersections with other domains.
You refer to, in your talk, to turning back time to fix design mistakes. Would you mind elaborating on that?
So I put that in the talk because it's something that attracts attention to people. And it's not a fully formulated idea, but it's an idea that comes from one observation. We have a fundamental difficulty in software development, which is turning very fuzzy wants and needs into very precise code. And this is the fundamental problem that will never go away. So I did an exercise in imagination, thinking, what if we could replace everything else with an ideal generative machine? So we just feed it requirements and we get out the code. And starting from this, if we are able to build this ideal machine, which of course doesn't exist now, then what would happen is that you can always go back in time, basically. If you haven't figured out, if you made a mistake in your specifications, you can go back, add a new specification, regenerate everything. Of course, this is all very theoretical, but it's one of the ideas that can basically raise the bar in this industry, if we, not necessarily by implementing it, but maybe by combining it with several other things. You never know.
Talk about using science. What potential fields of inquiry do you see coming from science that might feed into better ways of making software?
So I think that right now what I'm trying to solve is a very concrete problem that I noticed by discussing both with scientists and with developers. The scientists usually, their studies in software development are very weird. The results are usually weird. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that they don't have access to real developers from mid-sized companies. What they run their experiments on is, and their studies on, is mostly undergraduates, large companies, so not necessarily let's say the average type of company. And so I think the problem is one of data access. And my idea is that we could solve this problem by adding a simple plugin to your continuous integration server that publishes anonymized data about the code somewhere where in a common repository where scientists could actually look into real data from many, many projects, and not only open source large companies or undergraduates. So that, I think, would bridge the gap between.
And there's a regulatory challenge now with GDPR coming along and things like that, where we really need to come up with effective ways of hiding data, or at least protecting data for its use in future research.
Yes, but I think anyway, one of the challenges is that companies don't want to give access to other people to their code, which it's debatable, but it's it's all right. That's how it is. But I think anonymized metrics, that's something that's not that difficult to give access to other people.
Well, it's the 10th anniversary of software craftsmanship. So looking back on it 10 years on, what do you see as being the future for something like software craftsmanship?
So it's very hard to predict the future, but one of the things that I hope we'll manage to do is to better define our profession. I think we are on the path to do that in different ways. There are various conversations around this. But I have no idea where this will end up. Will we end up like surgeons who need the license to write code? Or will we end up like, I don't know, accountants that also have some kind of verifications in place by auditors and things like this? I don't know. And I'm not sure which one is best for us. But I think it will become more and more necessary to define this profession, what it is. And
what inspired you to give your talk for this conference?
So there are actually three things. As I mentioned, I like reading about a lot of things outside software development. So if you look at the things that I'm reading, it's geopolitics and maths and physics and history and innovation and all this. And especially one of my interests is in history of science and how it evolved. And I find very few people with whom I can discuss about these types of intersections, and actually my hope is that I will find more people by talking about this. Another one is I'm soon going to be 42, which means two things. One, it's the age when you get the answer to the question of life, universe, and everything else. The second one is I stopped caring as much about what people think of what I'm talking about. And the third one is more sad happening. One of my friends, David Hassman, recently passed away, and he's been hugely influential and to me, and one of the creative thinkers in this industry. So this talk is also about me trying to figure out what he would like to see.
What are you hoping that people will take away from this session?
I can tell you that they won't get a lot of answers, and what I hope is that they will get a renewed sense of wonder, and that this will translate into the desire to form work groups and explore their own interests around software development, not only on the core practices that we are talking today, but on the edges. That's my hope.
And lastly, are there any projects that you'd like people to be aware of, and is there any way people can help out on these?
Yes, so we organize a similar conference in Romania. It's called SCLConf conference. I invite everybody to look into it. I recently started in the same idea of intersections with other domain, a website called codedesigner.eu, where you can find articles and maybe also contribute with articles about how to use practices from other design disciplines into software design. And please follow Mosaic Works, the company that I work for, that because we'll soon have some very interesting announcements for software craftsmen everywhere. So